Hello, I am Luna Marquez and this is my consumer insight presentation. Nike is a very successful brand which provides athletic footwear, attire, equipment, and accessories. Their main focus are action sports, basketball, soccer, men's and women's training, running, and a few more. However, they also create footwear and attire which could be used in a person's day-to-day life. Their target audience is mainly focused on athletes, aspiring athletes, and urban youth. This brand has become one of the biggest ones worldwide, and that's why there's so many stores around the world. In 2019, it was reported that there was 1,152 stores around the world. Despite the fact that Nike is so big worldwide, its competitors are also very big brands. They succeed a lot, and some of the examples are Adidas, Reebok, Fila, Puma, New Balance, and many more. The first key concept I'm going to talk about is attitude and persuasion. Attitude and persuasion are very important factors when it comes to talking about the brand image. As Smiggen and Piansetti said in 2015, at its simplest level, attitude is made up of what you think, feel, and do. Attitude helps us understand an individual and may sometimes help us predict what the individual might do. If someone's attitude is for or against something, then you're able to try to understand the individual's actions and therefore can help us predict what the person might do. It is seen more clearly when an individual favors something and doesn't. Finally, attitude can be towards another person, idea, and many more. Basically, towards anything that an individual can hold a judgment towards. The brand's actions, and the brand's products. These three factors help us create a mental mind template that guides people's behaviors. The balance theory was created by Hayter in 1958. This evolves around a tri-dimensional relationship between the following: an individual and his or her concepts of an attitude, object, and of another person or object. This idea basically is one that individuals are motivated to change their attitude about an object or person in order to reach an inner balance. This will be seen in an example in the following slide. And finally, persuasion is the attempt to change consumer attitudes. Within persuasion, there's 5 main points: changing the basic motivational function of attitudes, associating the group with an admired person, group, or event, resolving two conflict attitudes, altering components of the fishbone attribute model, and changing beliefs of competitor brands. In this example of the balance theory, they are using celebrity endorsement. So, in this Nike advertisement, they're using Serena Williams, which is a very famous tennis player. So basically, in this option, there's a consumer, the Serena Williams ad, and Nike. And consumer likes Serena Williams, and Serena Williams likes Nike. But the consumer doesn't like Nike. So in this moment, it's a consumer's choice in order to change his or her behavior to like Nike or purchase something for Nike and end up liking Nike in order to balance this triad. Perception is a process by which physical sensations such as sights, sounds, and smells are selected, organized, and interpreted. Here, our 5 senses come into play. Our 5 senses are sight, smell, hearing, mouth, and touch. And then they go through a process of 3 points: exposure, attention, and interpretation. In exposure, we have sensory thresholds: absolute threshold, recognition threshold, terminal threshold, and differential threshold. Attention, which is determinants influencing attention, needs and motivations, attitudes, adaptation level, and attention span. And in interpretation, we have determinants influencing interpretation. We have personal determinants and stimulus determinants. Within personal determinants, we have motivation and knowledge. And within stimulus determinants, we have language and concept. Using an example, Nike, they use scent marketing, which is a type of marketing that creates an emotional impact, and various scents encourage customers to be more prone to buying a product. 400 consumers were surveyed after shopping at a Nike store. They reported that a pleasant ambient scent improved their valuation, not only of the store and its products, but also the likelihood that they would shop there again. This was according to the International Journal of Marketing Studies. Nike also has very vibrant colors: red, white, and black. Red is meant to exemplify passion, energy, and joy. White is nobility, purity, and charm. And black is meant to exemplify mystery, power, elegance, and sophistication. Usually, Nike shops have very motivational music, as if you were listening to working out music in order to motivate the customer to do what Nike does, which is sports. And in their advertisements, the music they use is more sentimental because their advertisements are much more sentimental. So they use a more sentimental tone and achieving tone rather than such a motivational. However, they still use motivational in some of them. The next one is motivation. Motivation refers to a process that causes people to behave as they do. This definition was made by Salomon et al. In 2010. Every individual has needs and wants. A need is a goal, and a want is something an individual consumes to be satisfied. The expectancy theory, which was discovered by Victor Vroom in 1964, explained that individuals' behaviors are ruled by their expectations of achieving the desired goal. This reflects that individuals will have a positive mindset to reach their goals by purchasing a product that can potentially motivate them to reach their goal more successfully. Within this concept, there are three main components: expectancy, instrumentality, and valence. Expectancy provides the following question: will the outcome be as good as I expect? Is it worth the cost? Instrumentality provides the following question: how can I be sure that the product that I'm using to help me reach my goal is the one I need? And finally, valence provides the following question: will the goal be worth the purchase? This theory is called Freuden's system of human motivation. This theory highly applies to the example of Nike, as Nike is a sports brand. When individuals purchase a Nike shoe, in order to motivate them, they ask each other these three questions. The expectancy question, which is, will the outcome be as good as I expect? Instrumentality question, which is, how can I be sure the product I'm using will help me reach my goal? And valence, is the goal worth the purchase? Nike makes sure to provide not only the correct footwear in order to motivate consumers, but also they provide many motivational quotes that motivate their customers, such as this picture that says rise, run, rest, repeat. And their footwear, as I mentioned before, also encourages it. As we can see here, we have a training shoe. So the customer might think, will the outcome be as good as I expect? Obviously, because there's a cost, which is 169 with 95 pence. And then the instrumentality. How can I ensure that this product is the one that will help me reach my goal? So that's why they have stores that you can try it on, and probably it will be. And a valence question: will the goal be worth the purchase? This is a personal question that applies to whoever. And if the goal is to do more sports or to lose weight or something engaging in a physical activity, then this could be the option. And finally, the last key concept is the self-concept, which refers to the beliefs a person holds about their attributes and how they evaluate their qualities. The self-concept can be better understood through a multidimensional perspective. Everyone has an actual self and an ideal self. The actual self is the realistic version of the individual, and the ideal self is the way in which the individual would aspire to be perceived. In order to achieve your ideal self, there are actions that should be taken from your realistic self in order to better yourself, your real self, and become your ideal self. The products we purchase either reflect our actual self or help us get one step further in becoming our ideal self. Within this, there are 6 main points. Self-esteem, which is the positivity of a person's self-concept. People with a positive self-esteem end up performing much better than a person with low self-esteem. This is related to social comparison theory, which was made by Leon Festinger, which is a concept that individuals always compare themselves to other people. The extended self, which is the external objects we consider are a part of us, comprise the external self. This is the idea that one individual purchases a product and the product becomes a part of the individual as well. This is referring to the market side, but does not only have to do with products. It can also be done with people and places. Next one is self-congruence, which is that we choose products when their attributes match some aspects of ourselves. This is related to the idea of individual self-image. The digital self is the idea of promoting a person rather than a concept. This has to do with the quick technological advances and how nowadays people post and act certain ways online that may not reflect their true self. Self and gender. which is gender expectations structure the concept of actual self versus ideal self, and this has to do with gender roles and societal expectations. And finally, the self and the body, which is individuals' physical appearance, body image, and insecurities. Nike also has some examples of this. Nike poses a quote that says, "If you have a body, you're an athlete. Our purpose is to unite the world through sport and create a healthy planet, active communities, and equal playing field for all." Here, the top shoe we can see is a white Air Force One model Shadow. This model and this type of shoe, Air Force One, is unisex, as most as Nike shoes are. Nike creates unisex shoes which can be worn by females and males, even though their website says is separated between men and women. Most of the shoes can be worn by any sex. Men and women separation is usually for the athletic purposes, for people's beneficials. And here we can see a screenshot of Kiss My Airs. In Kiss My Airs, we can see that Airs are a type of shoe which is Air Max. And here we can see a bit of extended self, which is external objects that we consider a part of us, which is Kiss My Airs, which is a part of me. So they're kissing my airs. And finally, within this picture, which is a little girl, and it says, "It's only a crazy dream until you do it." Here, with also in relation to the quote, we can see that this is a bit of the multidimensional perspective of self. This is the actual self versus the ideal self. If you want to change something about your actual self, do it and be your ideal self. This is Nike's main goal. Nike's main goal is to provide everyone in order to be their ideal self, whatever that is. So finally, compare and contrast. So here we're comparing and contrast our application of consumer behavior theory with our brand, and then how it's different to its competitors. Basically, consumer behavior theory is a study in which we see how people make decisions when purchasing a product. This consists in psychological, personal, and social. Here we can see 4 posters, and each of Nike's competitors. Bottom left is Nike, and it says, "Be the hero you didn't have." The top one is Adidas, and this is fun taken seriously. The next one is Fila, which is "In school, I'm a student, and in the streets, I'm an athlete." And the last one is Puma, which says "Less weight, more fast." So basically, these 4 are very similar but very different. We can see how the most motivational quote is Nike's, which says "Be the hero you didn't have." But all of them are very unique in their own way. The bottom right, which is Puma, is using celebrity endorsement, which he's using Usain Bolt as the main star in this picture. Fila is using a comparison between streets and school, and Adidas is showing an athletic sport. Obviously, they're all similar because they're all athletic sports, so their main goal is the same. However, the most motivational one is Nike, and it is clear because not only does it say "Be the hero you want to have," but it also puts a black background with a man in the middle, which gives the man and the white quote much more importance, and it's much more simple, and we can see that they're trying to portray one specific quote, which is the one they want to get across. And this is one example, but they have many more like this as well. In conclusion, we can see that not only the 4 that I've spoken about today, which are attitude, perception, motivation, and self-concept, but also decision-making and involvement, learning and memory, family and reference group, and lifestyles, values, and cultures, are consumer behaviors that are very important to the marketing practices. And not only are they important to marketing practices, but they are very different depending on every individual. Whenever this is looked at, this is applied to certain individuals, but not everyone. So when creating marketing practices, it's important to value this and value that every person is completely different.